What's up, you guys? Thank you for tuning into my channel. If you're watching this, you're probably about to start a painting or you probably never painted before. So I'm here to actually give you a few tips on a few things that you need to know to get started. Bam. All right. So first we're going to go through a supply list or things that you need to have on hand before you get started. So one, I have an apron. I can just put this apron on. Anytime that you're about to paint, you want to make sure that you have an apron, or if you don't have an apron, don't worry, it's not a necessity. Just make sure that you have on some clothes that you really don't care for, because once the paint gets on your clothes, well, acrylic paint at least, once it gets on your clothes, it's very hard to come out. You want to make sure that you have a cup with water. Now, I have these cups, these reusable cups. You want to use a cup that you really don't care for and one that you can set aside. Maybe you can use every time that you paint. So I just have this paint cup and I fill it up to about right here with water. Paintbrushes. You'll need paintbrushes for sure. Now, the paintbrushes that you use really depend on which brush you like better. So these are what I'm showing in this video for now. These are all flat except for the small tiny one. This one is round. And one thing that you'll need to know about your paintbrushes is the bigger the paintbrush you use for the bigger areas of your canvas. For the smaller, tiny, detailed areas of your painting, you want to use a tiny paintbrush. You want a paint palette. So this is where you actually put your paint inside. So you can put your different colors in these different little slots here. Now, don't worry if you don't have a paint palette. I'm all about improvising. So if you don't have a palette, paper plate. Very easy. They're easy to get. They're not pricey at all. So you can just put your paint on a paper plate. You need your paint. So whatever colors you're going to use for your painting, make sure that you have your paint on site. Now, your primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. Those colors you cannot mix to make. So you want to make sure that you have those colors, and then you also want to make sure that you have black and white. Any other color, pink, purple, all of those extra colors, green, we can make by mixing those primary colors. So that's just a tip for you guys. Also, you can already buy those colors if you want the green, the pink, the yellow. If you already want to buy them, make your life a whole lot easier, you can also do that too. But you want to make sure that you have for sure at least the primary colors. A towel. You want to make sure that you have a towel. The reason that you need a towel is for whenever you put your paintbrush in the water and you take it out, you want to make sure that you're able to dry it off really good before you put your paintbrush into your paint. If you don't have one of these small towels, you can use a napkin as well. And then last but not least, you guys, your canvas. So this one I've already pre-outlined, but yours may be a blank canvas, or you may already have something else pre-outlined here for you. All right, you guys, so just a few tips before you actually start painting that you will need to know is make sure you have your apron on or some clothes that you don't care for before you start. Whenever you take your paintbrush out of the water, you want to make sure that you dry them off really good. If you don't dry off your paintbrush really good and it's dripping, here's my camera. So if it's dripping, and then you put it into the paint and then you put it on your canvas, your paint is going to be really, really watery and runny, and it may not do what you want it to do. So anytime you take your paintbrush out of the water, make sure to dry it really, really well before you put it in your paint and onto your canvas. Also, anytime you're switching colors, make sure you rinse off your paintbrush really, really good and you dry it off really, really good before you switch colors. So this is gonna help you not put a color of paint onto your canvas that you don't want. Also, you guys, for your different size paintbrushes, remember, the big paintbrushes are to cover the bigger areas on your canvas, and the smaller brushes are for the smaller area. So if you're trying to fill in a little part of an eye or a little corner of something, you want to use a very, very tiny paintbrush. And if you're trying to like fill in a whole background that's very, very big space, you want to use a bigger paintbrush. Now, one very, very important tip that I let everybody know at my classes is if you feel like you messed up on your canvas, do not freak out. Most of the things on here are fixable. So if you accidentally painted a piece yellow and you meant to paint it white, Do not freak out. What I would suggest is to just let the painting dry and then come back and you can paint over it white. A lot of the colors you can paint over. If it's a darker color, you want to paint over it white first and then the color that you're intending to paint it. So don't freak out, you guys. A lot of this art stuff is fixable. Have fun with it. It's not anything that you need to stress out about. If you're using acrylic paint, you guys, acrylic paint dries fairly quickly. So once you finish your painting, set it aside, let it dry. Depending on how much paint you use, most of the paintings are dry within 30 to 45 minutes, and then you're ready to hang it up, you guys. All right, you guys, I pretty much covered all of the basics. If you have any additional questions, just make sure to comment down below and I'll be sure to get back with you. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Thanks for tuning in.